Hey everyone, it's your favorite YouTuber, don't worry we're getting there, the Video Game Guru, here with a whole new segment called I Love, describing, discussing, and dissecting why I love particular genres of games, games themselves, and subcultures within them. For the first section of this new segment, I feel it's only appropriate that I start with the genre that made me fall for this medium to begin with, and that, my dear listeners, would be RPGs. Ever since I was a kid, the appeal of a deep and gripping narrative always was something that could pull me in, whether it was a comic book, a Saturday morning cartoon, or an anime or graphic novel. If the story was good, the world was built well, and the characters were gripping and multi-layered, I was in it. Even though I didn't realize that was holding my attention as well as the flashy colors, I was in it nonetheless. But around 1997, all of that changed when I got my first Nintendo 64 and my hands on Legend of Zelda: The Ocarina of Time. The moment I realized that this ongoing story was something that I'd be able to shape all on my own, the decisions completely mine, and how I choose to save the Kingdom of Hyrule was left up to my 7-year-old mind, it was a wrap. Now, keep in mind that all of this is subjective, and I'm not here to tell you why RPGs are the best genre ever, or why anything else isn't worth your time or money. I just want to share my perspective and start a dialogue. But with all that out of the way, let's dig in. More often than not, role-play games are not a one-day affair. You typically have to sink a dozen to a couple of dozen hours, and more than one playthrough in to get the full experience. Games like The Witcher 3, for example, have an impressive 36 different endings. Sure, there are sometimes only subtleties here and there, and some people may rather look up the other endings and play their way. But the fact that there are 36 outcomes, all at my fingertips and wit, is something that stands out as quality and quantity for me. A lot of people would say that probably sounds like a game that's just convoluted, or being a try-hard, or being unnecessarily long, or not really worth the investment. But in my opinion, I would say that shows a game that decides to not just have brevity for the sake of not losing your interest, but decides to give you something that you can really sink your teeth into, with some unexpected twists and turns that you did not see coming, to keep you invested and to make sure that you get the most out of everything that you put into it, financially and time-wise. Another aspect of the RPG genre are the more free-form games with a voiceless hero that's essentially clay to mold to your moral compass, or whims, your Fallouts, your Skyrims, or your Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Games like this usually allow the fact that you don't have a voice to impart your voice onto whatever the options are. That way you can really have a deeper sense of immersion into the story and into your character being a part of that world. And along with that aforementioned moral compass, RPGs like this allow you to embody the highest heights of heroism, doing everything in your power to help every single downtrodden person, to take on every side mission, to try to make sure that everyone has the best of days, to try to be the essential Hokage of any game. Naruto reference for those that don't get that, look it up. Or, on the flip side of that, you could epitomize the very definition of evil and villainy, ensuring that anywhere you go, there's nothing but tears, death, and a swath of destruction in your wake. And since they say that variety is the spice of life, I gotta say, knowing that I have 2, 3, or more ways to approach this scenario ups the replay value and makes it to where at some point I am going to come back. I am bound to come back and play those and explore the rest of those options that are there for me. And amidst all the other ways to play an RPG or styles that they may come in, one feature that seems to prevail, regardless of RPG style, is character customization. The ability to put your unique visage built with a variety of tools off the dome at the start of each game can either be the finishing touches or the opening statement on how you approach each scenario, putting you one step deeper into that immersive world, allowing you to explore all the options of height, skin color, gender, race, eye color, hair color, special features, whether you have lizard skin, whether you have wings, whether you come with a racial trait that only belongs to the specific type of character that you're making, to the voice, to the intro portrait that you have, depending on the game that you're playing, that represents your character throughout the entire game, normally floating around with the HUD. And the continuous customization being however you decide to allocate your skill points, stat points, whatever they may be called in that game, and your sense of fashion, whether it's practical or whether it's purely for the sake of fashion, usually tied into the two of them. But regardless, all this allows you to put a personification of you in this world. Not a lot of other games do that. Not a lot of other games are structured to, but that's why this has got to be one of the best features, which makes this genre one of the ones that I love the most. And if that sounds like too much for some people, there's always the other option of picking a pre-made template and keeping it simple, so that way you can jump right into the adventure without too much muss or fuss, or imagination for that matter. And as much as I've been mentioning the world or this world or the particular universe that you are set in, I'd be remiss not to say one of my favorite aspects of RPG games has to be the world that is built for you. The world that has been, as I stated earlier, carefully curated to put this character, your imagination, your personification of whatever it is they're giving you the option to be. These worlds are usually drip-fed and opened up occasionally and sectionally as you progress through the power scale and narrative, kind of letting you see this is where you belong in terms of your abilities and your standing, or the amount of work you've put in to open up these areas for yourself. Kind of an immediate reward to the work that you've been putting in. Seeing all the lore unfold, seeing how you fit into this world, seeing how everything comes together and coalesces into this one grand picture that you get the luxury or the damnation to be in this world that has been crafted for you. The other approach that's usually implemented, if not that, would be the thrown into and told go crazy and try not to die. Albeit that may not resonate with everyone. Some people like no holds barred. Some people like being able to test their limits at the very start. And huge risk, huge reward. I mean, you miss every shot you don't take. So if you can potentially go in and take out the final boss with just a stick, why not? Throw those dice and see how it plays out. Some people probably say that that's kind of boring if you know it's going to start one of two ways. But if it didn't work, I wouldn't be able to make videos like this, now would I? With all that being said, those are the reasons why I love RPGs. Gotta say, it's always been a favorite genre and probably the one that I gravitate towards first, no matter the titles coming out that year. If there's an RPG, I'm gonna get it. There's no questions asked. As long as it, shows quality, comes from a reputable place, or if it's a new IP, because I love new ideas. With that being said, in the comments down below, why don't you go ahead, tell me what your favorite genre is. Tell me what your favorite RPG is. Maybe ask for a suggestion. I'd love to throw some out there for you. As you can see here, I've played a few, and who knows? Maybe we can exchange some information. You can point me at something I may not have tried. I can point you at something you might not have tried. hit that subscribe, hit that bell icon, so that way you can know exactly what's coming up and when that will be coming up for you and your viewing or listening pleasure. Every listen is appreciated, and your interaction is something I look forward to seeing. I only plan on improving and continuing to keep on making this great content for everybody out there. With that being said, this is the Video Game Guru, signing off.